What's going on, everybody? It's EricRayweather back here with more Madden 18 news, and we have a big topic to discuss today. EA just released some huge information that we've all been waiting for. They've addressed the blocking for Madden 18. One of the biggest complaints that many gamers of Madden have had for the past few years is that the blocking needs to be better. Give us the tools to better block blitzes, more realistic blocking in the run game, so on and so forth. This year, that was one of their main focuses, and it looks like they've nailed it if all of this stuff holds true. So we're going to go over the new blocking mechanics that they just released the info on earlier today. So the first main big feature is the ID the mic feature, which most of y'all have heard of by now, but we're just going to go a little bit more in depth with it. So basically what that is you're pretty much trying to ID who the blitzer is. If you know who the blitzer is, this has been the, what everybody's been asking for. If I know who's blitzing, if I know where the pressure is coming from, I should be able to stop it. I should be able to tell my offensive line, focus on this guy right here. He's the guy coming in. And that was the big issue with nickel blitz in Madden 17. We all knew it was coming, but there's nothing we could really do to stop it, outside of doing like gimmicky things. We couldn't just say, hey, block this guy, I know he's coming. Didn't work. This year you can do that. So basically what you're going to do is, if you know someone is blitzing, you're going to pull up the ID the mic system, which is going to be the LB or L1 button pre-play. Or pre-snap. You're going to press LB, L1, then hit the A or X button depending on what system you're on, and then you're going to move the icon with the left stick or the D-pad, and you're going to put the icon on the guy that you want to focus on. And if that's the guy that's blitzing, he's going to get picked up every single time. Now, the con to this is that if you guess wrong, if you say, hey, I think the guy on the left is blitzing, but then the guy on the right is blitzing, more times than not, he's going to come in untouched into the backfield, which is how it should be. If you put the wrong pass protection out there to the wrong side, and someone's coming from the other side, you should get hit. He should be unblocked. So that is very good that is happening. This is another huge addition. Offensive line unit awareness. This is really good stuff right here. So what this means is, in addition to the new pass protection tools, another common ask is about offensive line chemistry and awareness as a unit. In Madden 18, the aggregate awareness of your whole O-line will now impact their ability to recognize and pick up blitzes. The higher the average awareness rating of the offensive line as a unit, the better they will be at recognizing and reacting to blitzes that come up over the course of the game, including the always tough zone blitz schemes our players like to create by dropping defensive linemen into coverage while bringing heat off the edge. Basically, that's nickel blitz right there. That's exactly the type of blitz that nickel blitz is. So how this is going to work is, this feature starts to activate when the average offensive rating of your offensive line is 80. So if you have you take your 5 offensive linemen, if their awareness rating together averages out to a 80, then this starts to activate, and it gets better the higher the average awareness rating goes. So if your average awareness of the offensive line is 80 overall, you're going to get the bare minimum of them being able to recognize and pick up blitzes better. But they're going to pick it up better than if your offensive line was a 70 overall, for example. Now, if your awareness rating jumps up to 85 or to 90 even, they're going to pick up the blitzes and recognize the blitzes a higher percentage of the time. So, as an example, if the average awareness rating of your O-line is an 80 overall, they're going to start to recognize blitzes about 5% of the time. Whereas if your offensive line was averaging a 97 awareness rating, they're going to actually recognize the pressure every single time. So that's just to show you both sides of the spectrum there. So if you got an awareness rating around maybe 88 to 90, you can expect them to recognize it about half the time. So this is going to really come into play more so in Ultimate Team when you're playing in salary cap mode. This past year in salary cap mode, people would just tank their offensive line and get the worst offensive lineman because they still were able to pick up the blitzes almost just as good as the elite line. If you do that this year, that's going to hurt you because they're not going to be able to recognize and pick up these blitzes or block as well as the guys with the higher awareness ratings are going to have. So that is a big thing right there. The next bit of information with the blocking is just basic tuning and improvements. First off with the block shedding. So basically now when it comes to block shedding, your defenders block shedding your offensive line, only linemen that have or it could be linebackers as well, anybody who's actually rushing, only guys that have a power move or finesse move of 90 or higher will have the ability for a super win when rushing. What a super win basically means is your guys like Von Miller, Khalil Mack, J.J. Watt, the guys that they can literally disengage from the block almost immediately and just rip past an offensive lineman. The guys that have the 90 plus in those pass rush ratings, those are the only guys that will have the ability to just rip past your offensive lineman quickly. Now that's not going to happen every time, but these are just the only guys that have the ability to do it at all, and it's going to happen, you know, every once in a while like it does in real life. And depending on how quickly they get off the block is going to also depend on the pass block ratings of your offensive lineman. So if you've got Khalil Mack going against, you know, a guy with 95 plus pass blocking, he still has the ability to win quickly, but he's not going to win nearly as often against a guy that has that high of a pass block rating. So it's going to be realistic. In the run game, what's happening now is it's heavily weighted to favor elite players on both sides of the ball. So your elite run blockers are going to run block a lot better than your average run blockers. You're going to notice a difference. And your elite, you know, run stoppers, the guys that clog up the middle, they're going to be the guys that are able to clog up or block shed better than just in years past where just any big guy could block shed in the run game. There was really no rhyme or reason for if the blocking would, you know, set up nicely or if you got block shedded. It was kind of just a roll of the dice. Now it's going to heavily factor in to those weight and those strength ratings like never before, so it's going to be realistic blocking. Speaking of strength rating, that's the next bullet point here. The strength rating matters more than ever in Madden 18. It now determines the defender's ability to disengage away from the blocker. Not shed through the blocker, but just disengage. So the difference in strength versus strength will determine when a defender can get out of the grasp of a blocker when wanting to move away. So if you're running the ball up the middle, let's say, and your center has a 95 strength rating, and the defensive tackle he's going against has like a 87 strength rating, he's very rarely going to be able to break away from that block because your guy is so much stronger than him. Before, it would kind of just mainly look at like the block shed rating more than anything, but now they're taking the weight and the strength into that. So if you got a big, strong guy and he's just clearly stronger than the guy that's trying to rip away from him, your offensive lineman's going to hold him in his grasp a lot longer because of that strength rating that he has over him. Impact blocking is better now. Basically, that's going to be a momentum in weight related thing. If you've got a bigger guy and he's got momentum, he's going to be able to actually impact block. And if his impact block rating is higher, you know, in the past, impact block rating didn't really matter too much. But this year, if you actually have a big, strong guy, he has momentum, and he has a good impact block rating, he's going to get pancakes a lot more than just a regular guy. So that's another little improvement. And here's another big one, something we've all been asking for: running the ball versus a weak box. So we've discussed this in earlier videos, but they're just talking about it again. Basically, if you're running the ball and your opponent comes out in like a dime, quarter, or dollar defense, they're not going to be able to stop the run. They're going to get pancaked pretty much. I'm not going to say every time, but they're going to get pancaked a lot more often when they're in those weak run defenses. Because in years past, you know, you could stop the run out of a quarters defense. Last year, you could stop the run pretty well out of dollar defense most of the time, and it's just not realistic. So this year, if you come out in a run-heavy set, like a twin tight end set, think like I-form twin tight end, or, you know, a single back jumbo type deal, and they're coming out in dime or dollar defense, you're going to pancake them and just run down their throat, which is how it should be, and I know a lot of people are going to be happy about that. The next big thing as far as blocking goes is the running back pass blocking. The logic for pass blocking running backs has been updated to expand their ability to scan across the entire formation, as well as keeping them in the backfield longer, so they will be less likely to attack targets at the line of scrimmage, giving them more time to react to more dangerous threats as they appear. So if you've noticed, especially last year, this was really bad. The running back blocking was horrendous. The running back would almost just immediately just run to the center of the offensive line. He would kind of just be another body, just kind of clogging up space. There was no rhyme or reason for what he was doing back there. He would just run and pretty much stand right behind the center on a lot of occasions, instead of actually staying in the backfield on the side of the quarterback and scanning to see who was a threat. If the running back would have stayed in the backfield this past year and actually scanned the field and picked up who the biggest threat was, nickel blitz wouldn't have been possible. The reason nickel blitz was possible, one of the main reasons, because even when you blocked a running back, he would just kind of get sucked inside and just run right behind the center and, like I said, just clog up space. That's gone. So they improved the logic for running backs, and it lets them react to pass rushers who have shed the offensive line. In the past, they wouldn't react to people that shed the offensive line because they would already be too far away. They would be like in the middle of the offensive line, like I said, just taking up space. They now are allowed to scan the field, which means running backs will be able to block unblocked players on either side of the formation. So even if your running back's on the left and he sees a threat coming from the right, provided that he's a decent, awareness running back with decent blocking, he's going to get to that side of the quarterback and pick up that blitzer that's coming. They adjusted the tuning to cut blocking and block sheds with a heavy emphasis on ratings matched up between two players. That, I'm not exactly sure what that means. I guess that just means the running back will cut block a little bit better depending on the ratings of him and the defensive lineman. So if it's a defensive lineman that's not as elite, he'll be able to cut block him easier. And if he's not a strong guy, he won't be able to block shed the running back as easy. I'm guessing that's what that means, but not too sure. They didn't clarify too much on that. And the last big point is open field blocking and lead blockers. Another huge thing that needed to be fixed. Many times you would run the ball and your fullback would just completely run past the most dangerous man, the biggest threat. He would go for the safety instead of picking up the linebacker that was right in front of him. Or sometimes he would just keep running out wide and not block anybody. Same with wide receivers. You would have that one guy you had to block, but the wide receiver just wouldn't quite get downfield and find the guy and block him quick enough. All of that has been fixed this year. So basically now wide receivers are going to be more aggressive in finding blocks down the field in the run game, picking up the blocks that's going to help spring you for the bigger runs. They've improved the logic for pulling blockers and lead blockers out of the backfield, basically like the fullbacks, to retarget to less dangerous threats and improving keeping them on their assigned path to block for the ball carrier. So there's going to be more logic with the fullback. He's going to block the guy that's actually the most dangerous guy, and in situations where it makes sense for him to kind of veer off and block a different guy, he will do that. And they've made it to where more times than not he's going to stay in the path that he needs to stay in instead of kind of just running out. Sometimes they would run out too wide and just not block for your running back at all, but now they're more focused on staying in front of your running back so that you actually can follow him up the field. So that's basically it for the blocking. They've addressed many things that we have been wanting addressed for years now. It may have taken them, a couple years too long, but better late than never. If all of this stuff works how it's supposed to, that is going to make the game so much more better. Being able to pick up the blockers or pick up the blitzers that we know are coming, better open field blocking downfield, awareness mattering for both running backs and offensive linemen for them to be able to pick up blitzes and recognize blitzes. Improved run blocking, people not being able to block shed unless it makes sense. All of this is great stuff. So props to EA for finally, putting this out there for us. So that's it for this video. You guys know the drill already. If you enjoyed it, just go ahead and drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.